Hello, Commanders. Commander Plater here, and you are listening to the Loose Screws podcast. Check out my Beat Saber scores. They're probably better than yours.
Good evening. It is April 30th, 2020, and this is Loose Screws. I am your host, Ty Worsham. With me, as always, is the incomparable Commander Kaizen. How's it going there, man?
Hey, brother, I'm doing all right. Life is good. I'm flying spaceships, and let's see here. It's that time of the night, isn't it?
It is that time of the night, man. You're right. Man, we've had a fairly interesting little week. A couple big things have happened to our little group, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's been a hell of a week.
So to begin with, yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was Tuesday. Shit, what is today? Thursday?
Today's Thursday.
Tuesday. Yeah, shit. All right, so Thursday, the 28th,
Tuesday, the 28th.
Oh, God, I just did it again.
That's all right.
Tuesday, the 28th, the Distant Screws expedition concluded. Officially concluded. Now, I know we have some people still out there in the black, and y'all are still coming back or still doing your part of your exploration. Officially speaking, there are 25 days left remaining time. But all of JN Trax's live streams have officially ended. And most of the commanders are back in the bubble. And they came back to the fact that we have Maury Port. We'll talk about that in a minute, because I want to go over a couple things with this expedition. And I kind of wish Trax was here so we could talk with him about it. We may have to have a little powwow with him next week. But you know, as of the recording of this, we've completed 54,716 jumps, 4,057,234 light years, 291,000 bodies scanned, 7,800 celestial bodies mapped, 240,000, 250,000 tons of fuel have been used, 48,000 probes, and along the way, we lost 25 commanders. And 6 of y'all self-destructed. Now, I'm a little curious if the self-destructors factors into the commander's dead or not. I don't know. But
yeah, I would think it does, because they're two separate issues. The first is dead means it throws you to the rebuy screen. Self-destruct means you click the button. But I think because of the nature of the way they display things in this game, a self-destruct death will show up on both charts, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. So, a lot of things took place during this trip. A lot of people went to Colonia for the first time. A lot of folks went out to Beagle Point and then Salome's Reach for the first time. We had a lot of folks who had never been to Sag went there for the first time. And we had Jello Wiggler and the dedication to Evelyn and what we all did there. We, JN Trax live streamed nearly all of his journey.
Well, to be clear, just for purposes of promotion of what he did as a project, he live streamed all of his journey.
Was 100%. It all of it?
And the whole part of that, the whole or the whole sort of how should I say this? The whole goal of this project for him was to record 100% of his journey, so that players who were maybe a little timid because they had never done something like that, gone on an expedition, could watch through every second of it and know, okay, I can do this as well. I think there were 1 or 2 times where he did not record, but he was not on the expedition at that point. That was just friends came to where he was at, met up with him so that like he could fly around, do some silly stuff, hang out. But then what he would do is like that, those were times where like he was docked in a station, and before he started the next stream, he went back to dock at that station. So for the expedition portion of the event, 100% of it he recorded, and you can find all of it on his YouTube channel so that you too can sort of go through the process and enjoy that. And again, if you're a little sort of, how do I put it? If you're a little nervous about like, oh, this seems like a lot to undertake, you can see that it's like, okay, this is exactly what it is, and you can handle that as well.
Right. Yeah, see, that's something I don't think I quite realized that he was actually he did that purposely to record everything.
Yep, he absolutely did. And
that's even more momentous than I originally thought. So
yeah, I mean, it was a very, very cool project. He gave up a lot to do that. Basically, for the last couple of months, he's been severely restricted in his ability to play Elite Dangerous to the actual streams because of the goal that he had. Thankfully, in the middle of that, the beta happened, and I think he took advantage of that opportunity to enjoy some just free in the bubble gameplay. Even when he was coming around, fooling around with you, where he was flying in a ship and shooting stuff down, for him, it was just an opportunity to have some freedom to play,
Right.
So check out everyone who's interested. JN Tracks Gaming is the name of his YouTube channel. And the video of it's just him. It's a picture of him wearing like VR headset, and it's a very like a blue light shining on his face. So it's JN Tracks Gaming. For everyone who is interested in sort of dipping your toes, all those people that have said like, I've always thought about going on an expedition, but it seems like it's such a hell of a commitment, I don't know if I'd be up to it. You can watch every last episode of it in 12 parts, I believe. So in 12 streams, you can see the whole expedition from him leaving off and, the first one taking off from the bubble all the way to him returning to LHS 317 or 517 or whatever. So you get to see the whole thing.
Yeah. And I think I know he went to LHS 317 to complete the expedition, but during the interim of all this, the Loose Screws Network faction went live. And so we kind of moved the last waypoint. Like if you get to LHS 317, there's one more waypoint you got to hit up, and that is in Ross 310 at Maury Port. Please, if you are friendly with Loose Screws, please go sell your data there. We want all your datas. In all seriousness, this was a little unprecedented. We submitted this faction, gosh, what was it? Like middle of January, early February, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was a ways back.
And like kind of out of the blue, it got approved. We were not expecting it to get approved for several months. Everybody was telling us several months it would take. And then just kind of out of the blue, it's like, hey, we got a faction, guys. So
Frontier's been taking steps internally to try to sort of speed up that process for people, and apparently it's paying off.
Yeah, and I kind of think that maybe some of our recent conversations with some people there may have helped push things along unexpectedly, but I'm not sure on that. I can't speak to that.
Here's what I'm going to say. Since we're recording this and putting this out on air, I'm going to say I'm 100% positive that this is all due to Frontier's excellent work at streamlining the project for everybody, and not in any way due to anything else.
No, and you're probably right. It's probably just the timing thing that was making me think that. But correlation doesn't always equal causation. So, did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's post hoc ergo proctor hoc. That's Yeah.
So, but yeah, we have. So some of us were back in the bubble when this happened, and some of us headed back to the bubble when this happened because they wanted to participate. And it took us about 3 weeks, I think, and we nailed down Maury Port. We pushed out the Ross 310 progressives, and we got Maury Port, I believe, as of Sunday, wasn't it? That we finished up the war and got full access to the port. And And when the transition took over, or when the server tick happened today, we are now the official owners of the station. So,
yeah,
hoorah.
And on Twitter today, I got a private message from Flo at Progressive, and she said she's all ensconced in her news station. She didn't want more report anyway, so no hard feelings. It's all good.
Yeah. This is, I'm really proud of this. I know this kind of sounds weird, and I don't really, I don't even know what to say about it, because it just kind of shocks me a little bit about getting this. And so we did a little scrambling around to get everything, and then in the middle of all this, NL Hate, we decided to make him the Xbox Squadron Commander.
I mean, he really stepped up.
Yeah.
In life, to me, it's a situation where a lot of people can talk a lot of shit, but I've always been a fan of the sentiment best described, I think, from the what was it? The Game of Thrones quote: "Words are wind." In the end, it's a matter of, like, everybody can talk a good game. What are you going to step up and do? And NL Hate stepped up, and he did. So
he stepped up like crazy. So just kind of give you an idea, during the part where we were trying to raise enough influence where we could go to war, NL Hate raised up 450 points of influence over the course of 191 missions. I thought I had done a lot of missions at like 25, 30. This man made me look like a chump. So I'm officially announcing NL Hate as our faction leader.
Congrats.
I've been talking with him. We've done some movements inside of Discord this week. So basically what we're doing is we've said, if you don't have to, but if you want to participate in our faction and be part of the people who actually get orders and do orders inside of the game and whatnot, you can holler at Hate. You can holler at Devo Looter if you're on the PlayStation. If you're on the Xbox, you can holler at Hate. If you're on the PC, you can holler at Hate. Or you can holler at myself, Kai, or Trax, and we can add the Loose Screws Network member to you. Mm-hmm. And then that way you can have access to the squadron room and the squadron orders.
And just to be clear, before anyone else steps up and claims it, I want to make absolutely sure that it's known on the record, as far as the PC squadron, when it comes to who runs that squadron, I am firmly 100% not it.
Well, yeah, and right now I'm still the head of the PC squadron, but that being said,
sounds good to me.
That being said, I'm strictly there just because that's who it is right now. Once we get someone who wants it, I'll pass over leadership. I want to remain neutral for the most part. I mean, I want to support my faction because I am the CEO of the corporation. The in-game corporation is what I mean. So I want to remain neutral, so to speak. Because if you're not a member of a faction, if you're a member of one of our opposing factions, and you listen to our show, I want you to feel welcome in our Discord. So don't feel like that, we're going to try to run you out or anything like that. But, I want my faction to succeed and do well. So, But
the key words in that phrase is your faction, as in I am not the leader, you are. All right, cool.
NL Hate is, like I said, he will have, control over what we do. He's giving out faction orders. Basically, after we got I talked to him a little bit today, asked him if he wanted me to pass anything along. He wanted me to make sure to thank everybody who participated in getting enough influence to get to the war, and everybody who participated during the war. We swept them. We swept them in 4 days. We won. It was completely, we destroyed them completely in 4 days, which is really impressive, I think. Now, there may not be much of an opposing faction there. I don't really know. But, I did run into a couple of people who were headlining themselves the other faction and were taking shots at me. And they learned very quickly that a ill-equipped gunship versus a well-equipped Corvette, they don't survive very long. So if you listen to the show, sorry, but that's how it goes.
No, not sorry. If you listen to the show, we hope that you enjoyed your consensual PvP engagement. You attacked him. He did not attack anyone. And we hope that you had a kick-ass time. And, rebuy screen is cheap. And better luck next time. And, whatever. It's all good. This is a situation where this was not you flying up on some miners and deciding that you wanted to blow them out of the sky for no reason. They attacked you. You were in a war zone. You were on opposite sides of the war. Everything here checks out as non-griefer, straight up consensual PvP. And we hope that you enjoyed it. And we hope that you enjoyed listening to the show more, and best of luck.
Yeah, I'll tell the story real quick just to kind of clarify. So I was in a war zone by myself, or a conflict zone by myself, and I saw, I'm in open, so I saw a yellow square pop in on the radar, and I was kind of watching it, and here in a minute it turned red, so I started really watching it at that point, and I was trying to make sure if he was just fighting the NPCs, I wouldn't even bother with him, but then he fired on me. And when he fired on me, there was actually two of them. There was actually two gunships. The one that fired on me, I handled very quickly, and he got to see the rebuy screen. And the other one was, I don't actually know if he fired on me first, but he was in a wing with that guy. And once the first one shot me, I know the other one started shooting me. So I got his shields down. He was able to outrun me, of course, and he got away. And that was kind of the end of it. But yeah, that was it was kind of intense there. I was just thinking, oh man, we might have a real war. But it was kind of cool. I was very proud of the Nothing But the Rain that day. I tell you what, she held her own. So that's the name of my vet. So anyway, I'm moving on. Little bit of Frontier news today. In this, as of April 30th, the second fleet carrier beta snapshot has taken place. So I know DJ Wiley was asking about it earlier, I think this morning or yesterday morning, about when the snapshot would take place. And they didn't really give us a time, so everybody kind of assumed it would be with the tick today. But I don't think... We just know it was April 30th. So I hope that everybody who was looking to participate in the beta got enough low temp diamonds mined up to where you can. Mm-hmm. If not, you can always come and land on mine. I'll have it out in Ross 310. And we can hang and hug and, shoot each other and figure out why my carrier wants to shoot me every now and then, because that's always fun. I paid $5 billion for it, but it's going to shoot me. But hey, whatever,
Yeah, and with regard to DJ Wiley specifically, I just want to reassure him again that come the beta 2, which is completely not announced to be happening on May 11th/12th in one of those two specific days, depending on where you're at in time zone or whatever. But come May 11th/12th, when the beta may be happening or whenever else it would happen, wink, I'm going to suicide fast travel back to the bubble in the beta. I'm going to buy a fleet carrier. I'm going to set it up, and both Alec Turner and DJ Wiley are welcome to land on my fleet carrier and sell me overpriced low temperature diamonds. We'll do a couple of rounds transfers back and forth, and they will both have enough money to buy a fleet. I've got enough money to buy 3 fleet carriers, so there's no harm in it. I'll have one, and each of them will have one, and then we'll play with them. It's just funny money in the beta. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I saw some people today who were irritated, not today, not in our group, but in forums that were upset that the diamonds that they mined in the beta would not transfer over. And I'm trying to figure out, where that even became a gripe. I don't know of any beta in any video game ever in the history of the world that there was not a data reset when it went live.
That's not how betas work. That's just dumb people complaining because they're dumb and they like to complain. Often dumb people like to complain. This is this is one of the truths of the internet. And when you see dumb people complaining about very dumb things, you shake your head and you walk your way. You walk away. Don't even argue with them. It's a waste of your time.
Yeah, the closest I can remember anything that was ever like data that would transfer over. God, what game was that? And it wasn't really even data. It was like if you got some of the rare achievements in the beta, like the super rare achievements in the beta, they would actually let you carry them over. I don't want to say it was actually one of the Call of Duties they did that with, but it's been a minute. But you had to do like the super duper. You had to pay for like the super god version of the game because they always release like 16 versions of the game.
Yeah, man. There's literally no point in even trying to
rationalize it.
Yeah, just walk away. Just walk away. It's not worth your time.
Yeah. But all signs point to this beta starting up on May the 12th, May the 11th, depending on your time zone. Mm-hmm. I think that's perfectly fine. I expect it'll run another 2, maybe 3 weeks, and I think 2-3 weeks after that is when we'll get the Fleet Carrier actual patch. So if we're looking at the calendar here, let's just look at the calendar real quick. So if we get that, we'll say May the 12th. And we'll say it runs until 1 week, 2 weeks. We'll say it runs until May the 26th. I bet we get Fleet Carriers on June the 9th.
I would think maybe a week after that, but I wouldn't be too. I would think mid-June. Mid-June would be Fleet Carrier release, but I don't know for sure. But looking at my calendar, if I was going to guess, I would say the beta will start. Let's see, May the 11th through 12th, depending on time zone, whatever. But it'll be in that period, and it will run to. I could see it running to the 26th, but I could really see it running. Honestly, I could see it running to the 1st of June because of getting in that British bank holiday. I could see that it runs a little longer, maybe. But and then I could see us getting Fleet Carriers on June 16th. But at the same time, the 9th would not shock me. The 16th would not shock me. The 23rd would not shock me. I would think it's going to be one of those 3 days, and we'll see when we see.
So I kind of hope it's the 9th because it'll be kind of like a Frontier, Chris birthday present to Ty. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can hope for the 9th, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So, yeah. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be pretty cool. New to Discord this week is we need some sounders. We need to get Trax to make us some little sounders I can play. I need a little soundboard. I've decided.
Well, you can add that in post too.
Yeah, he could. Anyway, we'll talk to him about it. New to Discord this week is Ralph Varger, Splooey 4808, Van Otter, which I like that, Van Otter, Harkin Ryder, Oblivious, which I've been talking with Oblivious a little bit. He is a member of the, I have to think of the actual name. My brain is farting.
Are you talking about the East India Company or?
No. My brain is complete farting. They're a federation, federal
Security Administration, the anti-ganker squad.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Been talking with him. a little bit, and we have tentatively nailed down the 14th. Him and some of his crew members are going to be on the show to talk about what they do and how they do it. He's got to get a few confirmations. We're looking at, I think he's going to bring on 2 others with him.
Cool.
Because there's some work that they have to work around, or they may have to work around, and they're just waiting on some confirmation. But tentatively, the 14th, I'll get more information next week for you guys. But I'm very interested to talk with them more about what they do. And kind of working with our group, because we've already kind of done some of that, like Trax and Dubs. They've already done some anti-ganking stuff, so I know that they'll be interested in doing that. I rode along with them a few nights just for shits and gigs, and that was fun. So I hope that we get something formed there, but I look forward to that. All right, so that takes us to TIE Spies. So this is the last TIE Spies this week, guys. Starting next week, we will go back to Story Time with Old Man Ty, where we do the scavenger hunt style. So for this week, until next week, go back and look at all of your Distant Screws screenshots you took and show me your favorite one and why. That's what I want to see. But last week I asked to see your potato worlds. So NL Hate got in with an oblong gas giant, which, by the way, I did not know gas giants could be oblong. I mean, I know in real life they could be, but I had no idea they could be like that in the game. Mm-hmm. They just have a really high spin, so they kind of flatten out a little bit. Very interesting. He had a very interesting screenshot there. NHOJBG, NHOJBG. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm butchering y'all's pronunciation here. He caught 2 taters in orbit of a Class 4 gas giant. It was very cool. Dubs put an SRV into orbit. Now I've done this, but Dubs went and did it the insanity way, and he did it in orbit of a potato world that was actually next to another potato world, and it was pretty cool that he did all that. There's actually a video or a couple of videos floating around of him doing that, and gosh, was it Trax that went and got him out of orbit? I think it was Trax, wasn't it? I can't remember now. Anyway. Yeah. Grover Kiwi checked in with Rugby Ball, which is another gas giant that kind of looks oblonged a little bit. And at the very last minute, Dougie, I cannot talk. He got a submission in late today, and I'm really torn between the winners here because I did not know about NL Hate introduced oblong gas giants to me. And then the 2 taters in orbit was really cool. Does putting SRV in orbit around a potato world was cool. But Dougie in his potato world, it really looks like a potato. If there's a potato in the game, it looks like this game. It looks like a potato. Like there's a flat side and everything. I think I'm gonna have to say Dougie won this one. I hate to say it like that. But congrats to him. I have nothing to win, and you win nothing. I have nothing to give you. So, but you win. So for the week. So for next week, show me your favorite screenshot from Distant Screws trip, and I will have a little scavenger trip that you can go on next week with Storytime with Old Man Ty. And on the Distant Screws thing, a little bit of note is that in a future, probably in a couple of weeks, we are going to close the Distant Screws text channel for where we're submitting all your screenshots. So get your screenshots in, guys. We will close it and lock it. That's strictly just for historical purposes. We're going to make another exploration channel just for exploration stuff where you can show, like if you're still out in the black exploring, or if you have specific thing about exploration, we'll make that there. But we're going to start doing that with all of our events. We'll keep them locked for historical purposes. We'll probably make like a historical category in Discord where you can go back to them and kind of see all the things that took place during that trip. Because I was thinking about it, and I think it's a really good way to kind of keep a history of things. And I don't want it to get kind of saturated with a bunch of new stuff. That way you can kind of see when the journey began and when the journey ended, kind of thing.
So what I'm also going to suggest is you should talk to Anna Barrick. He put a bot on our Discord server that went and scrubbed that channel and just pulled out all of the many hundreds of pictures. So what we should do is we should take that bot. We should wait until it's finally done and locked. And once it gets locked and everybody's submitted all of their pictures for the cause, we should run that bot, scrub out all of the pictures, filter them out, and like look in case somebody, because somebody may have posted something in there where it's just like a system app or whatever. Like, okay, we can take some of those out unless it's a system app that picture itself is particularly amazing for some reason. But we could take it and literally just put together a very nice slideshow of all of the hundreds of pictures found there. And you could use that as the video component whenever, like if you were going to tonight just want a slideshow to put on with the sound for the YouTube channel later, or you could just make a nice little sort of a thing that could be just a slideshow that everyone can sort of download if they're interested in, or they could go to the YouTube page where you post it on YouTube, and they could actually just go and enjoy the shots as almost sort of like a photo album for everyone to enjoy that went on the expedition.
That's a great, and sidebar here, I did not know we could, this shows my ignorance with Discord. I did not know that there was, I should have known, but I didn't know there were scripts that could do stuff like that. That's really cool. I need to holler at Anna Barrick and
So we were literally talking, a bunch of people were talking while I was driving for work Sunday night. And I literally said to Anna Barrick, this was like Sunday afternoon or whatever, I was like, well, I didn't say it to him. I just said it to the channel. I was like, I'm sure there's some kind of a bot that'll go through and scrub all that stuff for pictures. And he didn't say anything. He just went like off and said like, I guess I'll see if there is. And sure enough, like 10 minutes later, I saw welcome to the Discord, Anna Barrick's bot. And I was like, well, I think he got one of those. And then he, Trax was like, I wonder what that's about. And I said, I think it's that. I think it's the idea that I had about the picture thing. And like I said, sure enough, he ran it and he was like, oh my God, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, Anna Barrick, when you hear this, if I don't see you before, and I'll just shoot you a direct message is what I'll do. But if you hear this before we can talk, hit me up, and I want to hear what you put together. Probably what I'll do is just throw that up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, but let's wait until the final thing, because I would hate for someone to feel, have hard feelings or whatever, because like their shit didn't get in until tomorrow or a week from now, and then they felt excluded. Like we'll wait until we get everything's done and then it's officially wrapped up, and then we'll make the photo album.
Yeah, I think I was actually commenting to Trax, and I said something like, hey, when your thing's done, I want to lock that channel for historical purposes. And then he said, well, hey, we should wait until the thing's actually over. I was like, okay, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that. So, and I think you mentioned it to me, I think next day or something. I was like, hey, we just talked about that. And I think I sent you a screenshot or something. So,
yeah, man.
So, yeah, we're all on the same page there. So, and I think that is all of the new. We're going to be updating the website with the faction stuff. I say we as in me. I'll be updating the website with faction stuff. I meant to do it last week. However, some work stuff got in the way and lazy stuff got in the way. And unfortunately, Call of Duty Warzone got in my way. I've been playing that with some. I I got roped into playing with a bunch of people who I used to play first person shooters with. We actually used to do tournaments and stuff with, and damn, we're having a good time. I wish they'd play Elite. That's all I can say. I'm going back and forth between both games right now. I'm having a great time. So.
On the news front of you saying like, well, that wraps up the news or whatever, there's a couple things that I just want to hit, most of which I've highlighted everything in Elite Week already, so you guys will hear that. But there's a couple of things that I want to highlight here in addition to having it in Elite Week. Obviously, the Drew Wagar Lore Tour is continuing apace. It is awesome stuff, and everyone should check it out. Really, everyone needs to hit up Spatula 007. He started a new, it is the stupidest thing ever. He started a new sort of series called, oh my God, what's the exact name of it is, hold on, I'm going to pull it up because I want to get this right. It is called Commander Spatula's Crackpot Elite Dengus Theories. He put out two of them. The first one was on like fleet carriers, and then the other one was on universal cartographics. And these are the stupidest things you've ever seen, but I dare you. So basically, I think most people get the joke, but like whoever doesn't get the joke, when he's like, you Dengus, because they're like Elite Dangus instead of Elite Dangerous. Dangus comes from the, Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule, the comedy series that and even if you look at his Commander Spatula's character in his Hollow Me, we were talking about it earlier, and he was like, yeah, man, you caught that. That's awesome. He's like, because his character's face looks like John C. Reilly in that Dr. Steve Brule. He kind of looks a little like it. And so like that's what that's all about. And it's just the stupidest thing ever. And it's so funny. He's got all of these crackpot theories or whatever. And he's like, everyone's giving you the hard news, but who's giving you the half guess, completely made up bullshit, whatever? It's like, it's so good. The Burr Pit put out my top 5 most wanted quality of life improvements video that every last player in the game needs to check out. And the last one that I want to do is that I like, again, all of this is going to be an Elite Week, but I want to hit it here too, so that it gets the coverage it deserves. Just today on the BBC radio, they put out BBC Sounds. They have a documentary series called "This Game Changed My Life." It is the link is in Elite Week, so you can go check it out there. But it is a half an hour long radio show that tells the heartbreaking and completely beautiful and amazing story of Michael's journey. And it's we all know this story. This is Matt and his nephew Michael, the boy who had succumbed to sort of terminal illness. And this is the story of how Frontier sort of reached out, and through Frontier and through some writers and through sort of a group of people, the community management team and the development staff and some writers on the side working together, they were able to sort of do like a Make-A-Wish type situation for this little boy and give him an amazing sort of send-off in his favorite game that he played with his uncle before he passed. And like I said, it aired today on BBC Radio. It's a half hour long radio show, which you can find at www.bbc.co.uk/programs/PO8BQ9SC. Sorry for the link, but you can get the link on Elite Week with this week's show. Beautiful, beautiful story, and just the kind of thing that will choke you up. But I really, really wanted to make sure that that got out to as many people as possible, that, you know, that story. So that's just what I wanted to sort of throw in on the news roundup for the week.
Yeah. And, you know, that's, you know, kind of on that note, that kind of speaks volumes about Frontier and the kind of people that they are and the kind of game developers that they are. And, it's, you know, I know they can't necessarily address every single request, but it's amazing when they can. And kudos to them for that.
100%.
Also, you have a pretty big Elite Week coming up after this episode, don't you?
Fairly big. Got a good amount of stuff to it. So for the last couple of Elite Weeks, they've been, you know, interviews or discussions, or, you know, just me talking about fleet carriers, or, you know, sort of all sorts of stuff. But yeah, man, this one is back to the original format, and I kind of picked up a little bit of extra stuff on there, some stuff that had slid in the last couple of weeks that I wanted to go out of my way to get. So yeah.
Well, also you had a chat with Gambit, Bruce Garrido, the new community manager. You had a chat with him Sunday, I believe, and I think it aired on your YouTube channel, on the Elite Week YouTube channel. And
we released it on, I think, did that already? Oh no, that didn't already appear on the stream. So yeah, I think Trax had that. I'll be honest with you, I had thought that was going to be released on Monday on the Loose Screws stream, but I sort of just lost track with. I think everybody's been busy. I lost track of it, but yeah. So that will be, I guess, appearing as well. Like, you have the audio for that already? Good to go?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I think I do.
So there will be two sort of Elite Week things this week that'll be showing up in the stream. The first will be the actual Elite Week, and the second will be the interview that I did on Sunday with Bruce Garrido. And I think, how do you say this? It's like, I'm not trying to blow my own horn. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying whatever. But like, the conversation that we had was, as far as I'm concerned, it was lightning in a bottle. Like,
yeah,
there's some stuff there that I think people sort of need to hear, because Bruce was very, very gracious and went into the deep, deep waters with me. And we talked about a lot of stuff that I've seen him do other interviews on other formats. And we talked about some stuff that was not covered under those other interviews. And in fact, one of the times when we started talking about Raxxla, he even said flat out, he was like, it's funny. He's like, somebody else asked me about Raxxla in an interview, and we said, okay, well, that's all the time we have. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. He said, but he's like, look, the way you asked it, I'm going to get into this. Let's talk about it. And we talked about Raxxla. We talked about New Era. We talked about some stuff that's coming that I think people... I've heard from a lot of people that have heard the interview that they're like, holy shit, man, I'm super, super excited. Bring it on. I'm ready now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to some people that are not going to buy a fleet carrier and were sort of a little meh about the idea of fleet carriers. But after they heard that conversation, they were like, oh, wait a second. Even if I don't have a fleet carriers are the beta test that is going to bring new stuff to us, to everyone in the new era. So, yeah man.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm very happy with it. But good work on that. Keep an eye out for that. And I'm sorry I haven't posted that yet. Like I said, miscommunications. So that's shame on us.
It's been busy.
Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about something this evening. This kind of been on my mind a little bit. And so Mr. Mike Morhaime, who was, gosh, for lack of a better way to put it, he was a large portion of the business and some of the programming of Blizzard for several years. He was one of the original founders of the company. He stepped down as CEO of Blizzard, I believe, in 2018, and then in 2019 he left the company. And he was underneath a non-disclosure, and he had a chat. God, I can't think of who it was with, because I read the article on PC Gamer about player accessibility in video games. Now, to be clear, he was not talking about like disabled players and their accessibility to games. He was talking more about making difficult content easier for lots of people to access.
So basically the TLDR is nerfing the world.
Right. And he specifically talked about how a lot of people and himself believe that in World of Warcraft, and I'll get off World of Warcraft talk in just a second. We'll move on to Elite Dangerous, because there's a reason behind this, y'all. Just stay with me. There's when he makes a good point in that when in Lich King expansion, when they added in the group finder, which on the surface sounds like a great thing that everybody can participate in. What that ends up happening, however, is that you pull away what people have to do. Now, let me explain what I mean. Up until that point, you had to communicate. If you wanted a group for a dungeon, you had to communicate with your guild. And there wasn't enough people in your guild that were online or willing to do the dungeon, you had to go to a group chat, like a general chat across the server, to be able to speak to people, to find enough people to do the dungeon or to do the raid or whatever the case may be. So you couldn't just be a shitbag, because if you were, and you were, not a friendly person, skill of player is not even what I'm talking about here. If you were not a friendly person, if you were not able to learn something, if you were not wanting to learn something, if you were just a shitbag, yeah, and you know what I'm talking about. If you were one of these people who didn't want to do these things, you developed a reputation and nobody would run dungeons with you. We had a blacklist in our guild of people we didn't run dungeons with because they stole loot from us. And then, they went and looted a chest or something, or they just were AFK the majority of the time, or they were just rude and mean in chat, which sounds like I'm being kind of childish here, but you can be friendly or you can be a shitbag. And, I know other video games have had this. Well, when they introduced the dungeon finder, Morhaime is talking about how, all of a sudden all of that went out the door. You could be a shitbag and you could still, you just find another group, big deal. And he also talked about how, they watered down the talent points and they watered down the skills. And over the years, it got more and more watered down to where, my mom, when she was alive, she would play World of Warcraft with me. She was not very good at it, but she would play. And she played all the way until her death, or until she got put into the hospital and couldn't play no more. And she was able to play this game, but over the years, it got to where she was happier playing the game because it got easier. And he talks about how when you do something like that, you hurt the overall playability of the game because you're hurting a subsection of the, I don't want to say elite players, but of the players who are going to stay with you longer. Because if you have easier content, you can gobble the content faster. There's no reason to grind it out. It becomes real easy. You get it in, instead of something that would take 6 months to achieve, you could do in 2-3 weeks. So then you end up hurting yourself overall. And I bring all this up because it got me thinking about what we've seen Frontier do over the past, I guess about a year and a half, about how they put in, like a new player starting area, which arguably probably should have been there to begin with, but it's cool that it's there now. But could stuff like that, and the fact that they were real quick to, I don't want to say nerf, but make fleet carriers easier. Are we seeing them kind of do a similar turn to where they're going to start making things a little bit more accessible to the general populace of Elite Dangerous?
I don't think so. So those are two separate issues that we don't want to conflate them. Let's deal with each of them as what it is. The first one is sort of helping with the new player experience, the onboarding experience. That is absolutely a plus to the entire game. How many times from how many people have we seen, oh man, I joined this game and I invited 5 of my friends to join this game and I stuck and I love it, but they all were so frustrated with the very beginning and the lack of sort of explanation into getting thrown out into the deep end that they quit. That has nothing to do with the Mike Morhaime sort of supposition of nerfing the world, because to give you an example, that would be the equivalency of that, the new player experience and the little starter baby zone. That is something that you already had in World of Warcraft that you did not have in Elite Dangerous. In World of Warcraft, you already had a little starter zone. You could start, depending on what faction you're in, you would start in that one little town outside of Ironforge if you were, a low-level dwarf, and you had that one little inn, and you had to run all the way up the hill to get to where Ironforge was. And it's like, yeah, man, it's a newbie zone. So the new player experience, the starting with the missions and the little added tutorial shit that they added, and how you have that little area, like, it's a very small zone that you can only be in until you hit your, you go from penniless to or any of the things. When you move up one, then you have okay, if you leave these 3 jumps, these sort of little 3 or 4 system little pocket, you can't get back in. The extra stuff that they did there, what he was talking about with what happened with Wrath of the Lich King was it made the 40-man raids, which then they pared down to 20-man raids or whatever, it made it more accessible to everyone. I mean, that was the thing that happened. It started to happen even before then. It started to happen in Vanilla WoW. If you look at, you had 40-man raids for AQ 40 and for Encourage, and you had
the 20-mans,
the Naxxramas, those were 40-mans, and Blackwing Lair were 40-mans. But then you also had ZG, and ZG was Zul'Gurub was a 20-man raid. So that was a thing that was sort of already happening, but that was end game content. This, what he's talking about, what Frontier is doing with the new player zones and the starter missions, that is sort of akin to a thing that Blizzard got right in the very beginning, man. They had a beautiful system for the early beginner zones, were very, very sort of light. You would fight one little wolf that would drop a gray item, but that wolf could chew on you for half a day while you were trying to figure out what damn key to hit or whatever, and you'd be fine. And when you did die, it would sort of pop you sort of right next to, you were in a spot where it's like, okay, from coming out of the pop-up zone, the respawn spot, you could look down the hill and see where your body was. Like it was already very gentle at the very beginning. The first 10, 15 levels of World of Warcraft, you couldn't really die if you wanted to. Whereas Elite Dangerous, the very, very beginning, just trying to learn to take off and land right, you could screw up and then, the station opens fire on you. It's very, very punishing at the early levels. Mm-hmm. So that side of it, I don't think in any way equates to what Morhaime was talking about, nerfing the world. That's a new player experience is just a thing that needed to happen and they should be applauded for. With regard to your second statement of like, well, they were real quick to make fleet carriers easier. I don't agree with that statement. I think they were real quick not to make fleet carriers easier. They were real quick to make fleet carriers where they knew they needed to be to begin with. This was a beta process, and they made an intentional choice for whatever reason to what fleet carriers were on the announcement video is about what we have now. What they did between announcement and beta 1 was jack up the prices through the roof. So like that was artificial, man. That was never what it was supposed to be to begin with. And we all know it. So I disregard or I disagree with the statement of they were real quick to make it easier. They weren't. They were real quick to make it right.
So I don't disagree with you in regards to, fleet carriers is probably a really bad example. But I cite it just because it kind of happened and it's kind of fresh on everybody's brain. We talked as soon as they released fleet carriers, and both of us were in 100% agreement that all of this is going to change. All these numbers are going to change. We were in disagreement how far they would go down, but we were both in agreement that they were definitely going to change.
I literally called it in week 1 of the beta and said, and I said it on air with you, and I said it on the air with Down to Earth Astronomy on Elite Week. I said, both cases, I said, 25 million is about right for a fully loaded fleet carrier.
Yep.
And that's about what we got.
Yeah, I think they actually said on 22, 21 million, somewhere around there.
It's like 21.7 mil, but you can't take that. That's not what it is, though. It's
right.
And the reason why is because they've already said they're adding universal cartographics. So if they add universal cartographics and that's another, X, whatever, just plan on it being around 25.
Yeah. But anyway, so the reason why I bring it up is because one of the things that Frontier has had a problem of is exactly like you talked about, which is kind of player retention. How many times have we seen people just in our own Discord talk about, well, I tried this game a few months ago or a few years ago and it was too hard, or I didn't really like it, or whatever the case may be. And now they enjoy it because they have this new player starter zone. That's great. I like that. I mean, I agree that definitely should have been from the get-go, or at least some sort of new player experience should have been in game from the get-go. I mean, I had a buddy of mine trying to land his ship ass end like a rocket. He had the gear down and everything, but he was trying to land vertically, he couldn't figure it out. Because he's like, well, it's spaceships. That's how they go, right? And but I think what I'm kind of getting around to is that when I look at the industry across the board, it's kind of in a weird state because, okay, Blizzard is in a very strange position because a large portion of their player base is like me. They're older players, and there's an X number of the number of players, and as weird as this sounds, you're going to run out of players if you don't bring in new players. Because, 1, some people are going to leave for other games. 2, some people are just going to grow old and die, probably like me. Or 3, something better is going to come along and attract you. Now, I haven't played WoW in quite a while, several months. I log in every now and then to do a couple little things. But I'm still not, I keep going there to check, is this a good game yet? No, it's not. So I go back and do other things.
Let's not skate past number 2 there. Is there something you want to tell me there, Ty? You're saying some of us are going to die soon, probably like me. And I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Hey, man, I'm old and been through some shit. So, I mean, I think you've been through a little more shit than I have, or a lot more shit than I have. But anyway, no, nothing specific. But.
All right. So, yeah, as you start coughing.
It's not Corona.
Yeah, okay.
It's just allergies. It's not Corona.
So, let's look at the fleet carriers, because I believe I 100% agree with that argument made by Mike Morheim, and I've actually made it myself a couple of times in the last few weeks. I made it 2 weeks ago when I was talking to Ben Moss Woodward, Commander Edelweiss of Lave Radio on Elite Week, where I said that if some people get their way, so the idea of fleet carriers to me is you have a big station that you can control. You can force project. You can now player trade. You can now store a bunch of stuff. You have a lot of power that you've never had before at Elite Dangerous at your control, at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have all of that power and zero downside, none whatsoever, then it's just an I win button. It's a situation where you have to work to get it once and then you win for forever. Right. And that is exactly what you're talking about here with the nerfing the world of saying like, well, now I can make credits like fucking crazy, like never before. I could do this, that, and the other, whatever. I've got all these abilities and no downside. They just literally, you just set up a game and said, you cannot fail. And to me, if you can't lose a game, then you can't win a game. If there's no way to lose, there's no point in playing. It's too fucking easy and it's stupid. So the idea of having a balance, a counterweight, some kind of a negative, right, to counteract that positive, I think it's needed. Otherwise, it's dumb and boring. Because everyone has to work hard to get a fleet carrier once. You have it for forever. You make more money. And it's exactly what we were talking about with the little old granny argument of like, well, it's easier to, win in Elite Dangerous now because it's like, hey, it would be different if fleet carriers could blow up. Okay. If you could lose it, if you were stupid and you lost it, that would be a whole different argument. Or if fleet carriers, didn't give you lots of extra freedoms like they obviously do. But as it is, since it has a bunch of positives and you can't lose it, there's no way to blow it up. There's no way to whatever, now there is a way to lose it. If you're a complete moron and don't handle your finances to take care of the upkeep, well, then that's how you lose in the fleet carrier game. Winning with it is either A, being smart and generating enough revenue so that it's covered on its own, or B, being smart with it and generating revenue, whether that's through, mining or trading or however, ways people can do it, universal cartographics, if you get enough customers or whatever, that's the point of that game. That's the point of that thing, is to be smart with it and to thrive with it. Or if you don't want to be smart with it, if you want to drive it as just your big Lamborghini, if you want to just say, hey, this is my big E-Peen and I'm going to come flop you around with it. Well, okay, but then you have to do the work to justify that. You have to do the work to whatever, because if you just use it as an E-Peen and you have no work behind it or no financial plan behind it, well, then you will lose it. You will get it repoed. That is how you lose. And again, if you can't lose, then there's no point in playing because you can't really win a game that you can't lose. So that is where that argument comes in for me of like nerfing the world or whatever. As far as As far as the whole, like, I get the argument that people say, like, okay, well, whatever, but you know, they need to look at that whole decommissioning is, you know, punishing if you happen to be, you know, I don't know, you're Jack Bauer and you have to go take off to Kazakhstan to fight terrorists for the next fucking 2 years and you don't have internet or whatever. It's like, okay, or whatever. Or you do get some people, like legitimate human situations, like Commander Plater, where like he was sick, he was going through chemo, he could not even load up the game without feeling like motion sick or whatever because he was on a bunch of drugs and his whole system was wacky. You know, okay, I get that. And you've said it, I've said it, Burr has said it, Down to Earth has said it, Plater said it. Everybody, like the reasonable people in the room are saying, take another look at how you do decommissioning, put in mothballing, put in stasis, put in something, even if it has a fee, even if it has some hurdles, even if it's a pain in the balls a little bit to stop people from like gaming the system and like, oh, I take it in, I put it in, I take it out, I put it in. Like, no, you don't want it to be abused either. I get that. But like something that works that system a little bit better. But yeah, like to your point, if you were to completely get rid of any upkeep costs at all on fleet carriers without putting in some other mechanism that would be a negative to balance it out, then yes, you're just making it to where it's like, get this and you win. And like, that would be dumb. Like if they put in a ship, if Frontier ever put in a ship that was the best combat ship and the best exploration ship and the best trade ship all in one ship, well, then they're fucking stupid. They just
they've already
broke
done
the
that.
game.
They already done this. It's called the Vet, man.
All right. Well, your delusions aside, as far as how a ship that can jump about 12 feet before its frame shift drive just shits the bed is the best exploration ship. But you know what I mean? Like I'm not joking. For reals, if you made one ship and that was the best ship at everything, like the Anaconda is way, way, way overpowered. But it's the second best ship at a lot of things, but not the best. And if you were to do like, oh, we come up with a new patch and the Anaconda now is better than the Cutter at trade and better than the Vet at combat. Well, all right, might as well fucking delete the game. There's like, you know, it's no point.
Yeah.
Everything has to have a balance because if you just make it to where one thing is all pluses and no minuses at all, which is exactly what fleet carriers would be if you got rid of upkeep cost. Unless, I'll give you this, I'll grant this as a thought experiment. You could get rid of upkeep costs, but you would then have to replace it with some other negative, some other minus, some other where it's like, well, you have to do this many missions a week to keep it, or you have to, like, it has to have some downside. You can't just have all pluses, because if you do, then you're falling down that Mike Morheim argument of, well, people complain about any pain points, so take out all the pain points, and now people will say, this is great, and your grannies will be happy, and all of the good players of the game will say, fuck off, I'm out, I'm going to find a game that's got a challenge to it. Because when everybody's a winner, then nobody's a winner.
Yeah. You know, I've been a very big opponent of the what's it called? The participation trophy. I hate that. I think it's life is a competition, from whether you're a wolf hunting rabbits or you're, a grown man walking, trying to get a job. Life is a competition. And if you don't learn how to compete, if you don't learn how to be tough when you fail, because I have failed many times, and I have learned far more from failure than I have from success.
I feel like those participation trophies and shit, that's okay. I'm okay with it for little kids, like up until like maybe 6 or 7, or maybe, whatever. But at 10 at the most, like, You know,
Agreed.
5-year-olds, sure. Like when you get to where they're little kids and they're standing in front of the T-ball thing and they've got a little stick that holds the ball and you just hit it and they're a bunch of spazzes, whatever. You're 5, sure. Everybody gets ice cream, everybody. It's not about like winning at that point. It's about just trying to encourage people to try and get outside and get off your ass and whatever. But like that shit needs to be cut off at a certain point. I would say 10 at the absolute most. From then on, no, we've got winners and we've got losers. And if you want to be on the winner side, work harder, do better.
Exactly.
And just know that, and even sometimes you can't work hard enough. Sometimes if you're the little kid who's, you know, if you're the 9-year-old who's 3 feet tall, I don't know kids. I don't know what size they're supposed to be. But if you're the 9-year-old that's 3 feet tall and you get paired up and you've got to guard the 9-year-old Shaquille O'Neal who's already 5 feet tall, you're just fucked. Life works that way sometimes. And that's also something that you should learn. That should prepare you for real life, which is also unfair and sucks. And you get to a point where it's like, all right, you just got to take the loss. You got to man up. You got to wait till nobody's looking and elbow that little kid in the dick and, you know, whatever. However you deal with that, that'll show certain things about your character too. But like, I don't know, man. I agree with you. The little kids, I'm okay with the participation trophy. Yeah. But after that, like when you have these kids that are 15 and, you know, it's like, okay, that's what's making these little fucking soft-headed nothings.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, I remember years ago being on a plane. This was several years ago, being on a plane and watching this grown man have trouble lifting the bag to put into the overhead carriage. And it was funny as I read a quote from Gerald Mattis just a few years ago about him seeing something similar. And he says, I think the exact quote is something like, there's no bigger threat to America than the man who can't lift the bag to put it into an overhead carriage on an airplane. And now he's not talking about, you know, someone who may have a disability or something like that. He's talking about a normal grown ass man. You should be able to lift that bag over your head without issue. Now, if you put a bunch of bricks in there, maybe, but if you got just clothes in there, come on, man, come on.
Yeah, I didn't share that experience. I remember a couple of years ago being in a plane and then jumping out of it. But yeah.
So Kai said, if you're not jumping out of a plane, no, but I mean, if you know, if I'm okay with, you know, there comes a point in childhood where, yes, we should encourage, like you know, as a child, you should be encouraged to try nearly everything. You know, not like crack or something, but you should be encouraged to try nearly everything.
Hey, don't limit their horizons.
But, you know, once you get to a certain age, it's like, okay, you're going to start competing, you know, where this isn't T-ball no more. You know, you're not going to get credit just for hitting the ball off the thing and running. You know, you're going to have to earn it. And, you know, if you're playing little league football or something, you know, yeah, there should be some competition to that.
And the market shows that there is. Like, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly, I swear to God, this is hilarious because I made this exact same statement in the Bruce interview, and I made the exact same statement a week or two before when talking with both, well, actually twice with talking with 100 Point Rub and with talking with Edelweiss. What Blizzard did in World of Warcraft at the Wrath of the Lich King expansion was start a process of, you know, people had always complained like, you know, you have paladins, we don't. Well, you have shamans, we don't. Okay, we'll make it to where everybody can have everything. Well, this class does this and my class doesn't. Okay, we'll sort of dumb it all down and cookie cutter it and make the classes sort of even. Shadow priests are too strong. Okay, we'll take away their ability to do this sort of complex stuff and whatever. So what you ended up with is a situation where it's all easy. It doesn't require a lot of advanced work or teamwork, and all of the classes are more or less the same. So you can hit this. Like, I did some rotations that were crazy deep in Vanilla WoW and in Burning Crusade, that I would have these rotations where it was like I was applying stuff and then like doing stuff and like, if this, then that. If you have more than a couple of seconds of off time where you had to like phase out, you had to get onto the other side of a wall to avoid an AoE or whatever, then it's like, okay, you had to come back in at your rotation, and you knew that since you had this skill up in 20 seconds instead of 30 seconds, you lost 10 seconds of uptime. You would have to sort of change your rotation so that you were able to maximize your time on target. There's all kinds of shit like that where they took it out of the game. They made it to where it's like, it's super easy. Everything's a 4-button rotation, and you just, hit it and go. And as a result, the good players, the people that wanted a challenge, that wanted, all of the people that were doing the shit where like you were like literally trying to steal another tank from one of the other guilds so that you had extra tanks for the 4 horsemen, like all of the top level people that knew their ass from their elbow in the early days, we all bounced because it was boring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is, if Frontier or any game company falls for that fallacy of like, it's so hard, man. I have so much respect for Frontier or anybody who is making a game, whether it's CIG or whether it's Blizzard or anybody, Square Enix. You have to open yourself up and hear everything, right? And you have to be able to internally sort of tell what are the gripes that people have that we like, no, this is legitimate. This is stupid and punishing in a not good way. We have to fix this. Versus the people that are the bads complaining, or the poors complaining, it's too hard. I don't like it. You have to be willing to tell those people. I mean, you don't actually tell them because that's bad PR. You don't say it, but through your silence, you have to be willing to tell those people, fuck you, get good.
Yeah. And so, the only thing, so I played World of Warcraft since its launch day. Actually, I played it since its very first alpha, very, very early alpha. And I was fortunate to happenstance find people of like mind and like play style, and to where we had roughly the same schedules and we could all play together. There was about 25 of us, and which was great. It was not so great when we needed 40 people. We had to go find 15 other people, but it was great when we hit to the 25 mans. Or when we get to BC and they pared down the 40 mans to 25 mans, because that was perfect. But we worked for our accomplishments in the game. I put in a lot of time to work up fishing and cooking, and I put in a lot of time to work up to farm all of the mats, to farm enough gold for repair bills. I put in the time to do these things. And the people I found that complained the most were the people who didn't put in the time. Well, I was part of the team that got a server first kill. And we got that because we put in the time. I was part of the team that we were constantly in the top 10 guilds on the server for kills. And, I was the main tank of the guild, and I got that not because I was the best tank or the best player or anything like that. Arguably, there were several second tanks that were good, but I had more time and I had invested the time to play. And, we got to a fight that I was having trouble with. I would certainly let someone else main tank. I'm not too proud because it It was the better of the guild to move forward and not be because of me. And, you know, I'm not going to show up my own ego here, but I was pretty damn good tank. And, you know, we didn't really have tank issues or, you know, anyway. But anyway, I think that if you make a time investment to something, or you make if you make a time investment to something, you're going to get results. If you make a time investment to Elite Dangerous, you can earn your trade elite, or your exploration elite, or your combat elite, or your Federation rank to get your vet, or your Imperial rank to get your cutter.
Well,
you
all of those that you said, except for combat elite, everybody knows that's too hard and nobody can ever get it.
Well, I mean, the two people in this room earned it. I think it took me longer than you, because you invested more time. I think if we were to break down our total time spent, it's probably within a few hours of each other.
I agree.
But
I'll go you one better. I would almost guarantee that you got it faster than me, because throughout it, there were times where I would literally leave a Thargoid fight, whatever, and then I would go to whatever, and then somebody would message me, "Hey man, can you record this for Sagittarius?" Okay, sure. "Hey man, can you record that?" There was I had a lot of sort of on-air type distractions of running a show and blah, blah, blah. You weren't doing all of that when you got yours. So for you, no, I would be willing to bet good money that if we just went hour for hour, how many scout kills per hour we got, I would be willing to bet you got it a good bit faster than me.
I don't know. You're a pretty damn good pilot, man. Either way it goes, we're damn close to each other. I can promise you that. But we made the decision. We invested the time. And, you know, CQC, we have a CQC. We have Chig in our group who hit CQC. Yeah, he is really good in CQC. He surpassed me. And that's because I stopped investing time into it. I started doing other things. He has invested time into it, and he got the CQC, not elite. He got CQC champion, I think, and he got the permit to the station unlocked, or the system unlocked. And he's the only one in our guild with that. He's on the first page of the Inara page of people who play CQC. He's on his way to get the 17th elite. You know, I mean, he's got a long way to go. He's got a very long road in front of him, but he's on his way.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and it's just a time investment. And I think that to bring it back around to fleet carriers, people complain about the 5 billion credits. That's a time investment. You can earn it. I've earned it. You've earned it. Several other people have earned it. There were hundreds of fleet carriers in the damn beta the other day when I and there was like 60 of them just in the instance I was in. It was ridiculous.
So just as a heads up, there is a guy that is part of the BPMC, the Burr Pit Mining Community, and he has a map system that is worked out where he does these map runs of like pre-mapped asteroids for low temperature diamonds, speed runs. And he did it was like earlier in the week, today in the Breck First Club, on the Burr Pit Breck First Club, and go to Elite Week and you can see the link, or just go to Burr's Twitch page and look up the video of his stream from earlier today. A couple of days ago, that guy, I forget the guy's name, but he mentioned it in the thing. That guy did, because he's so fast at doing the speed run of the mapped things, he did 5 full runs in a day. And he made 1 billion credits in one of those 5 runs. So he made over 5 billion credits in one day of mining. Now, let's give some givens here. Number one, he is not your average money gatherer. He is better than 99% of everyone at his. He's worked out this system for it. He literally, in this run that he does, he knows which rocks have it. He's not like throwing out prospectors. He's flying from one rock to the next. He's got it mapped out, and he boosts right into the front of the rock and then literally smacks into the front of the rock to stop. And then from 2 inches away from the rock starts mining it. And then as soon as his limpets collect him, he's already turned and he boosts right directly into the next rock. Like, he's got a system worked to the T. But if it's physically possible for one guy that's good, that's not cheating, he's just good, and he's got a good ship and he's doing it, to in one day be able to purchase a fleet carrier. Like, the fact of the matter is all of us can do it in a week. If you, again, this is not to say you have to do it. Like, there's nothing that says you have to have one. But if you really want one, you can have one. The only excuse that you have for not having a fleet carrier is one of three things. Either A, you don't want it enough, okay? B, you're not smart enough. Or C, you're not, how do I say it? Motivated enough. You're too lazy. So if you're lazy, that's fine. Don't get one. If you're stupid, that's fine. Don't get one. Or if you're brilliant and highly motivated, but just don't really give a fuck about that, if you don't want one, don't get one. But like, unless you're going to admit to me that you're too stupid, too lazy, or just don't want it, don't cry to me that you don't have a fleet carrier.
Exactly. And to go along with that, don't cry about the upkeep either. I think it's, I mean, you want to have a conversation around the prices of upkeep? Okay, we can have conversations about that. You want to have conversations about the decommissioning thing? Okay, I think it's fine the way it is. There are arguments. Commander Plater makes a very strong argument and almost convinced me that maybe we should, revisit it. Okay. Like I said, very good points.
Now keep in mind, keep in mind, Plater, in that exact same argument, in that exact same statement, he said flat out, this wouldn't affect me because I'm going to throw several billion in there, so I don't even have to look at it for years. It's no problem.
Right.
He made that statement too, but he said, just as a sort of logic argument or as a statement of logic, he can see hypothetically where some people might be at risk for an adverse situation because of that process.
Right. I can get behind that. I really can. To some degree. But, I'm kind of bring this all back around to where we started, with accessibility and things. Man, I don't necessarily believe that Frontier is going down that path of making things so accessible and so easy to achieve that they become, trivial. Like right now, getting to an elite rank is an accomplishment. Getting to combat elite is like another tier of accomplishment, and getting to CQC elite is 16 people have done it. That's it. So I think there's something to be said about keeping certain things elite. That's a good way to put it. There's certain things that should be elite. They should be difficult to get. They should be only people who devote the time and have a little bit of skill should they actually be able to achieve. And I think that we can both agree with that. So
yeah, I don't think Frontier's problem in any way is that they're nerfing the world or making it too easy. I definitely understand the sentiment of some players, your Wotherspoons and whatnot, who will sort of lament the fact that it seems to them that things are a little less dangerous than they used to be. There's a difference, though. there is a difference, and it's one of those situations where it's not quite. There's times where you could say, well, that's a distinction without a difference. This is not that, but it is closer to the line of that. There's a difference between something being not dangerous and something being not hard. So I just will sort of point that out. But while I agree that there is definitely a time and place for a little more danger, a little more spice in the universe, I don't see that the game itself is too easy. If we're being brutally honest and highly, highly hypercritical of Frontier, what I would say is much more closer to the mark of their risk of failure or their risk of screwing up would be lack of content. And I know that sounds stupid. Some people are going to say like, holy shit, could you be more stupid? Lack of content. There's billions of star systems, whatever. What I mean is lack of meaningful content. And I'm not even saying that this is their situation, but I'm saying this is much closer to the mark of a danger or a pitfall that they have to avoid. There is a perception by a large group of the player base that the game is stagnant. And I feel that perception only exists because these people do not yet have the benefit of seeing what's just around the corner. And I feel like they tipped their hand with fleet carriers and they showed what's around the corner. And some people
I agree.
don't see that. And they don't see that because they just don't want to. Like there's times where like I want to think, like if I don't like you, Ty, and I want to think poorly of you, like I've got a chip on my shoulder about you, then any little thing that you do, I'm going to be like, oh, well, he did that. Well, of course he would, whatever. Like if and I have to watch for this in my life because there are some people that, some, let's just say maybe even content creators for this game that I do not think highly of because they've soured me on their position with some things. And I have to make a conscious effort to look and say like, all right, no, I don't like this guy's content of this flavor. Like if it's something that's more of an opinion piece, but I do like this guy's content on this stuff where it's talking about, a different aspect of something. And I have to really watch myself. So there are some people that are like that with Frontier, that they're so sort of, they've got a chip on their shoulder with Frontier, rightly or wrongly. And some of it, let's be honest, some of it's rightly. Some of there's been some stagnation over a period of time. I think there were some serious attempts at some things that we saw around about the time of Squadrons and multi-crew and some of the wing multi-crew stuff and whatever. I think that they took some swings that were hard misses and it left some people feeling bad. And the company looked at it and said, well, okay, we could do this one of two ways. We could either push hard to fix whatever this is now, or we could pull back because the problem, whatever was causing us to fail on these series of products, these issues, were sort of back-end code type stuff that the players don't see. And I think the company made a conscious choice to pull back and to come at it from a different road. But as a result, it's looked like Frontier has had some failures sitting out there for a while that have not been addressed. And because of that perception, people have a hard chip. And now whenever Frontier says anything, people go, wow, they're going to screw this one up like they do everything else. Am I right? And if that's the lens that you're looking at things through, well, there's no amount of talking that I can do that's going to change your mind. If you're just determined to be miserable, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, with what's coming with fleet carriers and what's coming in the new era, they're going to, I think, shock a lot of naysayers. And I think it'll sort of reset things and put things more in a position where people are willing to say like, oh, no, things are moving in the right direction. But right now, there is a perception by a portion of the community that things are stagnant, that they're not putting anything out, or that they are not putting out good stuff. And that is the thing from a PR standpoint. If I was Frontier Development, if I was David Braben, and I'm looking at how do we attack this, I would be calling my guys in, whether it's community management staff, whether it's the PR guys, whether it's marketing, whether it's whatever. I would be trying to reach all of these guys and say, okay, our number one sort of thing that we want to fight is not the perception that we're nerfing the world and making it too easy. It's the perception that we are sort of stagnant with whatever. And all I could say on that is, I think it's coming. I think at the end of this year, either I will be publicly just acknowledged as a fool who was naive and believed a lot of shit that wasn't going to happen, or I will be sort of vindicated in like, no, man, this guy saw the shit coming. And I think you're right there along with me. I don't want to speak for you, Ty, but I think that you and I are sort of both on that track.
Well, there is, I think it's hard to say that there hasn't been some stagnation in the game when you look at the past 2 years or so. Mm-hmm. Because, you go back to, the taking down of Galnet, you go back to the taking down of community, our interstellar initiatives and community goals. You go back to where they took down, we haven't had a new ship. And, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily saying that we need a new ship, but we haven't had a new ship, I believe, since the Mamba, which is, I believe that's been a year now. We're really close to it.
Not just the Mamba. The Mamba came out at the exact same time as the Crate Phantom. They came out as a pair.
Thank you. Yeah, the Phantom, yeah. And I think that they've been out for a year now, or a little over a year now. And don't get me wrong, I know, and that they've been working on things in the background, and that they're coming up to bigger things, and we both agree with that. And I don't think that we're far away from seeing, like you said, I think that they tipped their hat with the fleet carrier thing, and I think that we're gonna, I think in the next probably 90 days we're gonna see. Yeah, I'll say 90 days. I think within the next 90 to 120 days, we're going to see exactly what the new era is all about. And, I think that we're headed for good shit, man. And I think that there has been a little stagnation because I think they were preparing things, but that always happens with every video game developer. There's a bit of stagnation before the next big release. And, coronavirus probably didn't help things at all as far as their release schedules. So, anyway, I think this is about where we're going to land the plane. But you have anything else you want to add?
No, man, I'm all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here. Website is at loosescrewsed.com. Join our Discord at tinyurl/loosescrewsed. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Why can't I never remember that?
So I'll run through it for you here.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
So we've got Loose Screws Podcast Network feed is anchor.fm/Loose Screws. The Loose Screws Podcast website is www.loosescrewsed.com. The Discord is tinyurl.com/Loose Screws Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Kai19103. You can find Elite Week on YouTube at tinyurl.com/Elite Week 3306. And you can email Elite Week at eliteweek3306@gmail.com. You can find Ty on Twitter at
Tyrvol, Tyrvol. That's also my in-game commander name. If you're on Xbox if you're on Xbox, hit up NL Hate in our Discord to get you in the squadron. If you're on PlayStation 4, hit up Devo Looter, and he will get you in. And
you want to list also the Loose Screws YouTube page.
Yep. The best way to find it, honestly, is searching YouTube for Loose Screws ED, because that's the best way to find it, I think. I haven't done a tiny URL for it yet because I'm lazy, and I keep hoping we'll finally hit that mark to where we can just, have our own little URL. So we got a ways on that.
How many people do you need for that?
About 1,800.
Oh, cool.
We're almost there, man. We're almost there.
Right on.
Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for the show. I think Trax will be back next week. We're having some more conversation about distant screws next week, and I think, and we'll also have a brand new scavenger hunt for Storytime with Old Man Ty. I think you were going to bring back Kai's question. Is that right?
Yeah. So next week, we're going to just give Kai's question a break for this week because we're wrapping things up now. But for next week, we will hit it up. For Kai's question, just to remind people, the actual question was, what are you going to do with your fleet carrier? So like DSSA type stuff, or even if you're not going to buy a fleet carrier, but you're like, man, I can't wait for fleet carriers because I'm just going to go out in a Diamondback Explorer and explore knowing that the DSSA is out there, or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Well, I want to hear all of the many uses that people have. We already have a bunch of things where people have posted in our channel. This is not a unique thing. So if you see something that someone else posted and you're going to do it as well, but go into hashtag Kai's question and put, what you're going to do with the fleet carrier. Because I would just like to see. I've heard from some people in some places that everyone's like, wow, fleet carriers, what's the point? I don't think there's any use to it. But I've also heard from a whole fuckload of other people the cool stuff that they're planning on doing with theirs. So I just want to have in one spot, a highlight of that.
Yeah. And to kind of go along with that, there's been a very mixed conversation around what to do with fleet carriers. And let me tell you right now, at the very beginning of the show, Kai talked about giving two people enough in-game credits to where they can have their own fleet carrier. And if that's not a reason to get a fleet carrier, I don't know what you want, man. That by itself is a big fucking deal. So
yeah, and to be clear, that's in the beta. That's funny.
Yeah,
money.
in the beta. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
But you could absolutely do that in the real game. You could in the real game. If you wanted to have an alt, and you wanted your alt to have a fleet carrier, you have unprecedented freedoms to move money around, to move commodities around, to store things, to have a station wherever you want it, to force project. I can't tell you how many people in BGS type situations are like, yeah, we're invading this system and they only have small outposts. So, we wish we had a fleet carrier so that we could land large ships there to do the stuff that we do. But that's a thing that's coming soon.
Yep. But, Kai's got a pretty cool Elite Week coming up after this, so please check it out.
For sure, man. Thank you.
But I think that's going to do it for the show.
Right on.
We will catch you guys next time. Kai, do your thing. Take us out, Bubba.
All right. So first off, everyone, don't fly without a rebuy. Second off, everyone, be excellent to each other. And third off, if you have a complaint, if things seem like they're too hard, take a good hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, is it really all that hard? Or are you being a little bitch? Because if you're being a little bitch, take a fucking dose of man up and get on with it.
Yeah. I'll say this real quick. The situation where you don't know how to do something, hop on our Discord. There's a shit ton of people who do know. May not be me, may not be Kai, but there's a shit ton of people who do know, and ask. And man, if you don't get an answer from someone, message me direct because I guarantee you will.
No matter
the answer is out there.
No matter what question you have, I guarantee you I have the answer, and at least 20% of them will be accurate.
Yeah. And at the very, there's also a good chance that me, Kai, or someone else in the thing doesn't know, but they'll say, "Hey, ask so and so." They do know.
True.
And then you can reach that person. So yeah, But anyway, that's going to do it for the show, guys. Appreciate you guys listening to myself, and this was episode 35. So we are 15 away from number 50. 50.
Right on.
I'm done.
For the mug.
All right, guys. See you guys next time. Thank y'all.
Later.